Hey guys, Rick Stone here from the blog Our Stoney Acres and the online gardening school. Welcome to 5 Minute Fridays, my video series where I try and give you a valuable gardening tip in 5 minutes or less. Before we get started this week, please make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel, or if you're watching this on Facebook, make sure you like my Stoney Acres Facebook page. All right, this week we are going to be talking about potatoes, and in particular we're going to be talking about whether or not you should cut your potatoes before you plant them. Okay, so this is a slightly controversial subject in the gardening world. A lot of the gardening experts think that you shouldn't do it, and we'll talk about why here in a little bit. First though, let's talk about the mechanics of a potato. So if you look closely, and I'll do a close-up of this potato so that you can actually see this, you can see that there are eyes all over this potato. We call them eyes, and you can also see that they're starting to sprout. Sprouting is called chitting. And so this potato is starting to chit, and it's ready to plant. The sprouts is where the actual potato plant is going to be growing from. So the plant and the stems will come up from these sprouts and will grow into your potato plant that will then produce new potatoes. Now, if you look at this big potato, there's a lot of sprouts on it, okay? I counted before, and there's 15 sprouts or 15 eyes on this potato. Now, a smaller potato may not have nearly as many. So this little potato only has 6, okay? But this little potato will grow into a potato plant, and so will this big potato. But the nice thing about potatoes is if you cut this in half and you do it strategically, both halves will grow into a potato plant. So you could easily get 2 plants, maybe even 3 plants out of a seed potato, depending on how big it is. So let's talk about that a little bit. And I've got a knife here. A couple of things that you need to keep in mind when you're cutting your seed potatoes. Number one, you need to make sure that you cut it in a way so that you have at least, some people say 2 or 3, I actually prefer 4 or more eyes on each piece of the potato. So I want to make sure that it's big enough that there's at least 3, 4 eyes there. And then the other thing that you need to watch out for when you're cutting your potatoes is that you don't actually cut an eye, because if you were to actually slice into one of those eyes, it would destroy it and it wouldn't grow. So you want to make sure that you give the potato the best chance you have. So really all you need to do is take a sharp knife and kind of pick a spot and cut that potato so that you have a good amount of eyes. Now, this side had a bunch of eyes. This side didn't. It didn't have nearly as many. So this one's going to end up with about 8 eyes. Even though it's smaller, this one's going to have about 6. I could have cut it differently. I actually kind of like to keep them a little bit chunkier like this, and so that's why I chose to cut it that way. And then that's it. You just need to make sure that you have those eyes evenly distributed, and this is actually ready to plant. Now, here's where the controversy comes in, though. Some garden experts feel like that if you cut your potatoes like this, that you will introduce disease into the potato. And I really can't argue with that. That is a definite possibility. So if you live in an area that has a lot of viral or bacterial diseases that are soil-borne that affect the Solanase family, which that would be potatoes, tomatoes, peppers, and eggplants. If you've got problems in the soil that affect those plants, then you may want to skip the cutting process and just plant the whole potato, because there is the possibility that you're going to introduce disease on these cut ends. Now, one thing that you can do to help prevent that is you can actually let these cure for a few days. So if you just set them out with the cut end up, don't put them out in the sun, but maybe set them in your garage or somewhere like that and let them sit for maybe 2 or 3 days. All of this will kind of heal over. It'll get leathery, and that's kind of a cool thing about potatoes is they kind of heal that wound. And so if you want to wait and let it do that, then you can go ahead and do that, and that will harden that up and help to keep the disease out. But we don't have a lot of disease problems in our area, so I actually just cut as I'm planting. So do it however you think and however you feel. I have never had any problems with a potato that's been cut not producing. It's grown just as well as the ones that don't get cut, and produce a good, happy crop. And why would I waste this big potato on one plant when I can have it produce 2 plants and get twice as many potatoes? And it will produce twice as many potatoes if you cut it like that. So just a real simple process, something that you should keep in mind as you are planting your potatoes this year. And I'd be interested to know if any of you have actually had problems with diseases on a cut potato. If you have, please leave some comments below and let us know about it. And I'd be interested to see what happened and how things turned out. So, all right. So that's it for this week. And for the next couple of weeks, we're going to be talking about potatoes. It's getting close to time to plant. We actually plant in a cold frame, and so we can get things going a little early. But next week, we're actually going to do some planting in some grow bags that I've bought. And this will be a first for us, and we're going to see how it works in grow bags. I've grown in containers before, but never in bags. So tune in next week, and we'll talk a little bit about that. All right, that's all I have for this week. Everybody have a fantastic week. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and also like my Stoney Acres Facebook page. And while you're at it, why don't you check out my online gardening school as well at onlinegardeningschool.com. And that is the place where I have 6 right now with 4 more courses on the way. All kinds of different gardening topics covered. And go check that out because it's a great spot. I think you'll enjoy it, and some good courses there. All right, everybody have a great week. Happy gardening.